sure you are getting a lot of accolades also, because I remember when you
Oh, yes, yes,
newly
yes,
started,
yes.
that the whole comments full of it. I'm like, okay, what is this? I'm just, it's like what you were saying, the entire euphoric crowd, which is always
Yeah.
there.
They are the ones I normally talk about. Like I said, this is the in 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 10 years of writing for television, this is the first time that I've even mentioned that there are these abuses that come my way and all.
We end up,
Normally, I
we
talk about
spoke in a
them only.
perspective,
That
so.
yeah. Because normally, yes, I'm very lucky to, and in fact, there's another extreme of that. Um, Half the time I get messages, private messages, and all of people who start mislabeling me. Like then there's one lady wrote to me saying that she was going through an extreme source of depression and all, and something Mahakali said made her feel strong, and she didn't harm herself. And then she searched for who wrote it, and she thought a woman had written it. She found out a guy had written it. So then she said, and then she said, I want to meet you and I want to touch your feet. I said, then we'll never meet. Because understand, I'm a fellow seeker. The day you start thinking ki, oh, I'm coming from somewhere else, then we have a problem. Because that's exactly what I'm trying to work against. So because you are sometimes reminded that you are not writing it, it's written through you.
I've seen that
I
update
know
of
this
yours
sounds a little,
because,
yeah.
no, you put it on Facebook once. I'd seen it. In the early days, you had put it that it gets written through you.
Yeah. Then I stopped saying this because this led to attracting the dangerous kind of folk who wanted to say like, we want to learn guru. जैसे कोई मुझे guru बोलता है मैं डर जाता हूँ. So I'm like, bhai, like till teacher I can understand because that's what I've done in professionally also. Guru business is a very different responsibility. I'm not ready
Yes.
for such things. Please spare me.
No.
I am another seeker. I'm walking with you. I'm
Yeah.
not on anything like that. That's why thank you for pointing out. That was the last time, because then I stopped writing like that, because it's that kind of updates that suddenly people thought, oh, maybe through him. So like, अरे भाई कुछ नहीं.
I
मेरी बार
think they're
लिख रहा
not
है.
able to
But that
understand the
happens.
perspective in which it is happening.
Yes, no, I think the best way of looking at it, I mean, my sister, Nandini Didi, who actually when I was a kid, she had guided me on this path that spiritually, jaise mein hota hai na, she says this a lot, and I have started using it a lot in recent years, that we are all fellow pilgrims. Think of it like that. Okay, sometimes maybe I'll sit for a bit, you'll have walked a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you any better than me. Or if you will remember things like Kedarnath walks or the Kailash, okay, maybe sometimes you're feeling tired, you're walking in your own pace. Just because someone walked faster doesn't mean that person is better. At most, that person may come back and say, ये right लेके ना थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा पत्थर है, सीधा जाते हैं. Sometimes you can play that role. This is how I've started explaining. That doesn't make one person superior or inferior to another person. We are all fellow pilgrims.
No, and the fact is, in Kedar, at least you have a goal that you have to walk there, but in the inner journey, you don't actually have to do anything. I mean, it's an inner experience, right? So it's just, there is so many different ways.
What you are saying is something I would say very advanced in terms of not doing anything. Very often the entire karma yoga comes from this, that for many people, inaction wala action hai, which is the second line of karmanye vadhika raste, it's not easy to understand. So sitting and doing nothing is difficult. So for them, action is also meditation. So that's why I do what you just said. I do not speak of that publicly a lot. I say, no, if you're walking, that's your journey, then think of Johnny Walker and keep walking.
But this thing you're talking about, the writing, whatever action that becomes a meditative process and something more happens, I think many people do experience it. It's just, so in spirituality, actually the blog that I've written kind of was like that, because the clarity that I've put in those blogs, at the time I must have had that clarity, but later I kind of forget and so many other things happen. When I go back and read the blog, I'm amazed myself. Like, I cannot believe that blog it's so clear the way it's written. So that started happening, and then the funny thing is that I went to Isha now, no, and I met this girl who I started who had a deep experience with Linga Bhairavi Devi and all, and she ended up starting a website called Adi Shakti, and she was telling me that she goes through the same thing, like she's sitting with the Devi Yantra, and all of a sudden there's clarity in her mind, and that's when she will write. So the process may be different.
unpopular opinion, spiritually speaking, but I think sometimes we get a little tad too focused on clarity. What I mean to say is, clarity is very important when the tool is communication. Sometimes we are communicating with ourselves also because we are so hypnotized by the idea of communication. Uh, when you look back, because I've had similar experiences, when you look back and you read what you've written, and there is more clarity there, but you see what happened is your space was this much, sample space was this much, so you had clarity here. With the age, as you're learning more, your space is increasing, so what was earlier very clear is now a little diluted. But it's not because your clarity has gone, it's because you're just growing, you're expanding. And clarity, sometimes what happens is that I get a little worried because we all are seeking clarity, and when we are seeking clarity, um, sometimes even clarity is transient. What I mean to say is that you feel clear about something today. In time, you might grow further. Like what is sharp will lose its focus and will get focused again. So what I meant to say, what in terms of unpopular opinion, in my humble opinion, this is an opinion. So I always say this in any conversation: having an opinion means I have the right to be wrong. So this could be completely off and all, but what my opinion is that the fact that many of us are chasing clarity has caused us to be active. That's good, but I don't know if that is a aspiring goal, aspirational goal,
I don't
because
think.
sometimes the most clear people are the ones who, like Sadhguru also talk about, the people, obsessive people who are in something like that, they are clear.
But then Sadhguru very clearly says the belief thing versus what we call clarity largely is, I think it's where your belief breaks and then there is clarity. I think, I don't know, but I think you seem to have mixed the two things
I
up.
know one of the first things that I had picked from Sadhguru actually back in 2004 was when he spoke of this belief and knowledge. But a lot of these things, some masters, let's just call them that right now, some masters, as they master the communication, the word, are able to use some powerful word that shake our system, that makes us more open. So the makers of English did not define responsibility as ability to respond. But when we were taught that, suddenly it shook me. But that was the objective. This belief, knowledge, what you know, you don't have to believe. These are very strong statements, but as we go deeper, we realize that those statements serve a purpose, and that is to shake our current belief so that we are able to be more open. But thinking of no belief and all, danger is to sustain, to live, to breathe.
No, I think
Belief.
one is not talking about no belief as absolutely no belief. It is always in the context of the particular matter. So in that sense, I think
Yeah,
it is okay. And I don't know. I think it's fine.
but that's the
Like,
thing, Priyanka. When do we? But that's it, na, Priyanka. I mean, like, who decides what is okay and what is not? That's what is tricky, because, and that's when it comes to that, the personalization of our system, which is why clarity, I was saying, is a dangerous tool, because clarity being aspirational is a dangerous tool, because getting clarity is easy. If we stop expanding, we'll get clear very fast. But then even universe is expanding. That is the nature.
I
So
think
universe went.
we do. I think in Sanatan Dharma also, I think the whole idea is that it's the dharma, like it's like the law. So I know there are a lot of perspectives to see it, but then we are talking about certain way that things are working. And
Dharma is
that's
law,
all.
is very manusmriti. Dharma, if you go back into Vedic perspective, law like nyaya comes
No,
like
not like
much later.
nyaya, no, it is like natural law,
Like
like the way things work actually,
dharma,
the
the
mechanisms,
closest
that's all.
word the closest word in English to dharma would be way of being. That's why we say like kshatriya dharma, or duty also is a word close to that way. But I mean, there's an entire paper I did which was like just analyzing the word dharma from Vedic perspective, and that also like shook a lot of what you spend some. It was very good for me because it by getting some fame, writing and all, na, whether you like it or not, under your radar, thoda sa you start thinking like I'm the dude. मुझे बहुत आ गया है. Studying Vedic studies and like, अरे यार कुछ नहीं आता. Like, oh my God, that is the thing. So क्या बोलते हैं? So like every time when I have clarity about something, in my head I'm like, okay, next lesson. Because if I want to settle with clarity, then I have to either be a person obsessed with something or
no,
expansion.
I understand. It's not about settling with that particular clarity. The journey keeps going on. It's not that you settle with that. But at least that clarity happened. But that clarity in the first place is a step, right? It is a step.
Yeah.
And of course, things don't get. It's not the thing. Okay, fine. It's not.
Yeah.
E word.
Sometimes
enlightenment.
Yeah. Oh my God, yes.
What do you think about the overall entertainment scene in India? And I'm specifically talking about mainstream entertainment in terms of movies and TVs, especially with the current controversy of Tandav and all. What do you think? Like, is it that, see, anyway, Dev and all of these serials are pro culture. So then, is that just the balance of it, which is anti-culture in a way, or it's just?
This is again just an opinion. I don't know about I'm happy that I'm not being interviewed on these things, on these topics by all those news channels, because one is what you said, that eventually, I mean, I'll go a step forward and I will say everything. Life seeks equilibrium. Life seeks balance. So very often, whatever we are doing is creating balance of some sorts. However, the catch is when people start thinking that they are the creator of balance. Balance happens when people are doing their own bit. Adam Smith kind of an approach. Okay. When you got John Nash entering, things become tricky because now we are assuming what will work for the group. I haven't seen, full disclosure, I haven't seen Tandav entirely. I'm aware of the controversy. I generally am of the opinion of not attacking a show or something like that. Not because I'm against any censorship or something, but because sometimes by attacking a show, you give it more limelight than it was getting earlier. Tandav is also an example of that. More people are watching because of the controversy. So if your original idea was to not give them that space, then you've lost that battle because you've given them more space by doing that. However, I think with Tandav, the reason for attacking it was something else. Is because, again, I will not make the controversial statement of the right or wrong to that, but as an observer, as a student of society, as a student of entertainment industry, I can say that this is being done to make a statement. Tandav is being made an example. A lot of time in this country, it's okay to speak against a certain religion, but it is not okay to speak against a certain other religion. Tandav is being made an example out of it by saying, okay, now it is not okay to speak against this religion also. So I will not get into majority, minority or something like that. I'm just simply saying that this is what is happening. Is it right, wrong, good, bad? I am fortunate enough to not be on a spot where I have to take a call on that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
But I can observe and see what is happening. And even, I mean, my active platform is Twitter, where I've got some 25K odd people following me. I just stay away from making any statements about these things. I stay true to my followers are there for whatever I'm talking about, my shows and things like that. So, so because of that, now going a step further is about pro culture, anti culture. That's dangerous. That's like saying that every time you say something which is pro divinity, you have to say something anti divinity. This is again our assumption then. Because entertainment is not something that has to be the sole responsibility of creating balance all the time. Entertainment is catering to joy of people, right? So, like for example, it's not true that maybe in Italy, when I was spending time watching television, where they were like slightly more Catholic Christianity oriented, and I was around Rome and stuff like that, it's not like they had a balance of pro-Christianity and anti-Christianity
Yes.
shows. So that's probably a little limiting to think because we have pro-Hinduism show, it's okay to have anti. So you see what is happening psychologically is that post 2014, whatever happened, as we know, at that point of time, it's not about Hindu Khatre mein. Certain factions of society started feeling threatened more and more because they connected something of the past and they said, ab to aise mein hone wala hai. They felt a sense of humko hi balance create karna hai. And since people in political power think like this, we have to do the opposite to create balance. And they created all this kind of a communication. Some of my close friends are from communists or JNU students. Some of my ex-students are JNU students and all. So we have, I'd like to believe, some Vivad and not Vivad. But when these discussions happen, so right wrong ki baat nahi hai. You just have to be careful where this is all leading to. But ye hoga to zarur. Again, right, wrong, good, bad. We are lucky enough to not having to make those decisions here. But as students, we can at least observe what is happening. It's not as straightforward as it appears.
No, I think so too. Actually, okay, so that's pretty much it. Do you have something, anything to say about?
No, I'll just say what I said in the beginning. I'm so happy to see you do this. For your fans and subscribers, Priyanka is someone that I've been very fond of for a decade and a half, and and I'm just so thrilled. I have always encouraged her to speak more, and she's been this this person who will have such nice, lovely thoughts, strong opinions, but not expressing it in a certain platform or something. But since this is the era of Elon Musk, and where it's okay to not be flamboyant and yet communicate beautifully. So I hope some of you who are watching this are getting inspired by Priyanka also, because I'm telling you, this girl used to not speak and she used to look, and you had to feel fortunate if you heard her speak strongly about something, because she would be so reserved. And only when you are in the inner circle of Priyanka, then you would hear her talk about something.
Yeah,
Okay?
so that is why this is called aatmic conversations, because they are very close conversations that are happening.
So from that time to see it now, I'm thrilled, and I hope many of you are going to be inspired by what Priyanka is doing here.
Thanks, Utkarsh. That was amazing.
My privilege, my honor. Thank you.